Hello all, and welcome to, I was always a Sega fangirl. It was always going to happen, whether it's because they were all black, being a goth, or just the fact it was the arcade games like Afterburner and Outrun and so on that was on them. Who knows, but yeah, always been Sega for me. Although, I will say I still always enjoyed Nintendo as well. What I thought today is I would just have a little look at some of the accessories that have come out for these, and just sort of talk a little bit about those. So we will begin with the little GameGear Micro. Right, starting with 8-bit, the GameGear Micro. I had one, loved it, had great fun. My favourite game ever on this was Outrun, so I found a company that actually did little stickers for the cartridges. Obviously you can't take the cartridges out, but you could put a sticker on to make it look like you had it on. And since Outrun's one of the games on here, definitely that was well worth doing. Next up, the Megadrive Mini 1. There were a couple of adapters and accessories they actually made for it. Beginning with, we have, this came actually later, but this is the Mini Tower Zero. This is actually originally, it was a Master System adapter they actually made for the Mega Drive originally. Sadly, this particular version that I ended up getting hold of fits into the Japanese, I believe, version, but because we've got a UK version, you may be able to see there's a difference in the shape here. And this is how they stopped you from playing American games and so on the European consoles. What we used to do when we were kids was we actually used to cut out the little gaps there so you could physically fit the cartridges in, and that seemed to work for a lot of them. But this is amazing little bits of detail I've got in. I shall show you there is a whole load of cartridges that come in here. There's like 2 rows of these things, which is incredible. So that's all Master System cartridges. There you go, that's the one I tend to have sort of displaying. So just like with the original one, you have a little flap that opens up there, so you can actually physically fit the cartridge in there. And there's even SG-1000 cartridges, which are little flat things like this, and these slide in like that. And if I'd got one of the non-PAL versions of the Mega Drive, it would have actually been able to fit on top of that, but sadly it doesn't. The other adapter that we have was the original Mega CD, which is absolutely brilliant. And just like with the original one, you have a little slot that you would literally take out a little bit of plastic there, and you can slide it on. There you go. Now this is part of the Tower of Power as well. Other adapters that are in there, for example, your 32X, which would slot in there like so. And there's a company as well that made the 32X cartridges for us. There you go, all 3D printed, works beautifully. And of course, I might just take that out. We've got original Mega Drive cartridges, which I've already shown you one of these, one of my favourite games, Streets of Rage. That was 3D printed. And a proper official one is Japanese version of Sonic, which slots in, whoop, just about. Of course, yes, because of being Japanese, that won't slot in. I was saying about with the difference in shape, as you can see, that won't quite go in. So if I'd have had a European version, a Japanese version of the Mega Drive, that physically would have gone in. This is the accuracy they've gone into there. So definitely quite impressed. And finally, for the Mega Drive 2, they have of course released now the little CD, Mega CD 2 version, which this I actually had as well. I had the original Mega Drive, I didn't have the Mega CD. I did have the Master System adapter, but I ended up getting the Mega Drive 2 later on, and that was what I ended up having there. And I also did have the 32X with it. Now, I've shown you this on the previous video as well. If you plug that in, you have a little bit of a gap there. But what they very cleverly did was there's a little adapter here that actually acts as a little tiny spacer. So this is exactly how they did it with the original Mega Drive and the Mega Drive 2. So that then plugs into there, goes into there, and that would literally lift it up, so you ended up not having a gap on that. And that was my old setup. That is exactly what I had back when I had a Megadrive as a kid. So very excited about this. And if I just pop 32X cartridge in there, other adapters and things they've got the virtual racing cartridge, which was always bigger because it had its own chip that was actually inside there as well. So that was always quite a bit bigger. And this is where things get really impressive and cute. They actually have done a little tiny CD as well for the Mega CD. So if I press the button, chunk, it ejects. And if you look inside there, you can see there's a little tiny laser. There's a little bit where you got the motor and the spindle for the CD. So you can just pop it in. And there you go. How impressive and cute is that? And of course, it doesn't add any extra games or anything like that having the adapters, but it just looks the part, and yeah, takes me right back to being a kid. Finally, just to compare it with the Switch, so you could get an idea of scale. There you go. That is my setup with how I have them all laid out.